Be it in fantasy or fiction, we have seen examples of civilizations that chose to live underground, unlike most of the civilizations here on our planet. However, throughout the world, we see places where the locals try to make their homes below the surface, both in ancient and modern times. We thought it would be interesting to understand how living underground would impact our society. First of all, underground homes wouldn't be at the mercy of nature as much as normal ones are. Thermal insulation is a real thing, meaning that those houses would probably average at around 12 degrees Celsius year-round. Places such as Iceland and Coober Pedy in Australia use underground facilities to minimize their own severe temperature issues due to their extreme weather. It's also worth mentioning that underground homes would be much less affected by fires, tornadoes, and hurricanes, although floods, moisture, and lack of sunlight would be a very real problem. Not to mention, the infrastructure required to ventilate all of the living space would be a major hustle to work around. Now, another problem concerning the viability of underground homes is the cost of digging. It's estimated that this type of building is 20% more expensive than the regular above-ground ones. This substantial increase in cost could hinder large projects, which we'll cover soon. Finally, if the majority of our infrastructure moved underground, a massive amount of land would be freed to several purposes, from agriculture to reforestation. But hang on a minute, why it's so important to figure better ways to live below the surface if we already have several ways to build above-surface infrastructure? To start, underground housing could help several regions across the globe to cope with severe housing shortages, allowing low and middle-income citizens to live in big urban centers that have a very high cost of living in terms of accommodation. Also, as a huge plus, if we could integrate concepts like vertical farming, which we discussed in another video, with underground facilities, our overall impact on the environment could be significantly reduced even if we had more mouths to feed, because our agriculture production would be made underground without the need to deforestate large areas, since we wouldn't have to claim as much land to agriculture as we do now. Secondly, and most importantly, since we strive to be a multiplanetary species, underground building technologies could help us survive the severe temperatures and radiations of planets like Mars, Mercury, and Venus, and other celestial bodies like our own moon and several asteroids. Testing those concepts here on Earth could make us better at colonizing those other places. Well, that's it for today. Here on The Hive, we like to explore different concepts to optimize human development. In the past we talked about food, and now we just talked about housing. If you have interesting insights about the topic, please feel free to share with us. Don't forget to keep learning every day, and we'll see each other next time.